Housing affordability is a critical issue that affects many aspects of the economy and society. When workers struggle to afford housing, it can limit their ability to move for better job opportunities, impacting labor mobility and economic growth. This, in turn, influences home building trends and the overall housing market. Affordability of housing to both rent and buy is important and timely, as the ability of workers to access housing is shaping macro trends in the housing market, with implications for home building, labor mobility, and economic growth. Access to housing and affordability is important for consumers making moving decisions. Moving home is often associated with positive themes, such as trading up to a larger home or moving to a better area. However, the reality is that for a growing number of households, it's becoming more a question of what housing can be afforded, and then considering compromises on location, size of home, and accessibility to work. This video highlights how single-earner households and those on low incomes face much greater affordability challenges, where the safety net of low-cost rented homes is also inaccessible to cater for those in need. The options to improve affordability are often limited due to the underlying structure of supply and limited choice of smaller-sized homes to buy. Recent studies highlight that a significant portion of workers are unable to afford homeownership. For instance, in Great Britain, about 40% of full-time workers cannot afford to buy an average-priced home. Renting is somewhat more accessible, but still, 27% of workers find it unaffordable. This situation is not unique to the UK. Similar trends are observed in other countries, including the US, where housing affordability has become a major public concern. Access to home ownership is most constrained in southern England and London, where over half of workers can't afford to buy an average-priced 2- or 3-bed home. Buying smaller homes or using a larger deposit are options to improve buying power and boost affordability, but these may not be an option for many households. The introduction of stricter mortgage regulations in 2015 was aimed at preventing a housing bubble by limiting excessive borrowing. While this has helped maintain financial stability, it has also made it more challenging for many households to access homeownership, especially in high-demand areas like southern England. The minimal gains from buying smaller homes underscore the importance of equity. Without sufficient equity, many potential buyers find it difficult to enter the housing market, even with smaller, more affordable properties. This situation highlights the need for policies that can balance financial stability with accessibility to housing.
Potential solutions could include increasing affordable housing supply. Building more affordable homes can help meet demand and reduce prices. Shared ownership schemes. These allow buyers to purchase a portion of a property and pay rent on the remaining share, making homeownership more accessible. Government subsidies or grants. Providing financial assistance to first-time buyers can help bridge the equity gap. Renting affordable to more workers than buying. That's a significant increase in rents over a relatively short period. Despite this, it's interesting to note that renting remains more accessible for many workers compared to buying a home. This trend can be attributed to several factors. Upfront costs. Renting typically requires a smaller initial financial outlay compared to buying, which involves a substantial down payment and closing costs. Flexibility. Renting offers more flexibility, allowing workers to relocate more easily for job opportunities without the long-term commitment of a mortgage. Credit requirements. The credit requirements for renting are generally less stringent than those for obtaining a mortgage, making it easier for more people to qualify. However, the rising cost of rent can still place a significant financial burden on workers, potentially limiting their ability to save for a future home purchase.
Just over a quarter of workers are unable to afford renting across Britain. However, in London, the picture is much worse, with 2/3 unable to afford rental costs. Better access to renting is in part down to the greater availability of smaller-sized homes in the private rented sector. However, workers on the lowest 20% of earnings face major rental affordability challenges across Britain. The lack of growth in the stock of social housing for 30 years and the stalling of growth in private rented housing since 2016 has compounded the pressure on low-income households, which has driven demand for temporary accommodation. The regional disparities in housing affordability are indeed stark and concerning. The North-South divide has long been a feature of the UK housing market, but as you pointed out, affordability issues are now spreading to regional cities outside southern England due to rising job growth and incomes pushing up house prices and rents.
The statistics highlight the severity of the issue. York 61% of workers unable to buy. Trafford 57%. Leicester 46%. Edinburgh 45%. For renting, the situation is also challenging. Manchester 56% of workers unable to afford a 2/3 bed home. Edinburgh 48% unable to afford rent. Nottingham 38%. Salford 36%. Glasgow 35%. These figures underscore the need for targeted policies to address housing affordability. Potential measures could include increased investment in affordable housing, ensuring that new developments include a significant proportion of affordable homes. Rent controls, implementing measures to cap rent increases and protect tenants from excessive rent hikes. Support for first-time buyers, offering schemes such as Help to Buy or Shared Ownership to make it easier for people to get onto the property ladder. Areas to start tackling affordability. Britain has a varied pattern of housing affordability with clear differences between buying and renting across the country. There is a link between tenures where pressures in one tenure can have impacts on another. This is most obvious in the rental market, where the growing inaccessibility of home ownership increases the demand for renting. There are no easy solutions for policymakers. The top 3 areas for focus identified in the report are as follows. Build more smaller-sized 1- and 2-bed homes for home purchase and more rented homes. Government to support creation of a market for long-term fixed rate.
Addressing housing affordability requires targeting supply into the market pinch points of the market and taking a cross-tenure view. Urgent attention is needed on the mortgage market and the extent to which lenders can support access to housing to a wider range of consumers. While the narrative on building more homes is welcome, it's important to shift the discussion to the types and tenures of homes needed to support economic growth and boost access to housing for people on all incomes. The home building model in the UK is changing, and we will not deliver the homes the country needs without a clearer understanding and appreciation of who will buy them and what they can afford to pay. This applies to both consumer homeowners and corporate investors buying homes for rent. A reset in thinking is needed in policy circles on the new homes business model and the levers to support increased home building across Britain.
Please like and subscribe and share your opinions in the comments. Watch the related video on housing or economic issues in the playlist.